Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
She left private equity to fight financial anxiety. Now, Lara Cornely is building Count, the app that finally makes your money make sense. If you've ever opened 5 apps to figure out how broke you are or okay you are, this episode is for you. Today's guest left a high-flying career in private equity and venture capital to solve one of the biggest problems in personal finance today, financial anxiety. Lara Cornely is the founder and CEO of Count, a next-generation personal finance platform built for millennials, Gen Z, and busy professionals overwhelmed by budgeting apps, disconnected tools, and money stress. In this episode, you'll hear the founder story behind Count, from bootstrapping the first MVP with her husband to conducting 100 plus user interviews to deeply understand the emotional pain people feel about money. Lara shares how she's building a truly holistic wealth management experience that combines automated budgeting, real-life financial visibility, and personalized insights, all in one intuitive app. We'll unpack how traditional finance tools fail and what set it and forget it money confidence really means, and how Count is bridging the gap between mental health and money. Plus, her predictions on the future of Fintech, being a female founder in a male-dominated space, and while building trustworthy, transparent financial tools is the next frontier for wealth. If you care about financial well-being, user-centered fintech, and founders solving real human problems, this one is for you. Lara, welcome. And we already can tell our audience we talked before and we are the Night Owl Club here, right?
Yes. Hey, Johan. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Guys, before we dive in, have you ever felt overwhelmed trying to figure out your own finances, even with 5 money apps on your phone? Tag us on Threads, LinkedIn, or YouTube with your answer using hashtag Startuprad.io Money Talk. We'd love to feature your insights in a future episode. Lara, now let's get started. We may add that you've been sneaking in here before. You founded Count in London, but you're actually a Kölsche Mädel.
Yes. It was lovely. Before we started recording, we actually had our conversation in German. So it's probably a bit odd switching to English now, but it is, after all, the language I usually speak when I'm working. So.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit from Wall Street to wallets. You worked at some of Europe's top financial institutions. What made you walk away from that world to build Count, and why now?
Yes. Well, basically changing suit and office for startup chaos, right? And I think the story behind that is quite similar to what you hear from most founders. It's this neon sign screaming at you something needs to be changed and that the status quo is not working as it is and no one is fixing it. So that basically I took this as my cue to change it. And where this came from is probably a bit related to my background. As you mentioned, I worked in finance, but my family is not very finance savvy. My parents are actually really bad with finances, and I hope they won't listen to this podcast. But that probably triggered for me that I really, really want to understand the system behind it, not so much having money, but rather understanding how everything works. And so not only did I work in finance, I also have this very intrinsic personal interest in it. And I guess my surroundings kind of picked up on that. And so I got questions for ages now from my friends, my families, even my coworkers, all about their finances, things they didn't understand. So they reached out to me. And after years and years of this happening to me again and again, I started to wonder, okay, why do these people feel the need to ask me? Look at me. I'm not your typical finance bro. And so this is what made me take a step back, just look at the market and see how it is. And I found it's insufficient to cover for the needs. And so we built Count to change it.
I'm really curious about this this spark moment. When you realized no one is fixing this, I have to. Can you take us back to this moment, when and where this was?
Yeah, that was a funny story, I guess. So, as you already mentioned, I'm originally from Germany, but I moved over to the UK about 4 years ago now. And so I came new to this market and really wanted to understand again how it's working here opposed to Germany. So I did certificates and, really took a deep dive into how the systems work. And eventually the same thing started happening to me. So my new friends and my new colleagues, again, still working in finance, started approaching me. And it got to a point where with my last employer, actually my colleagues asked me to do like Friday lunch sessions for them to understand, the different asset classes, how they interact with each other, and also tax wrappers, which unfortunately is something we don't have in Germany, but it's a really neat aspect here in the UK. So when it got to that point, that was really where I was like, okay, this is so weird. I need to change something. Yeah, that was probably the aha moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What real people taught you about money pain? You interviewed more than 100 people before building Count. What shocked you most about how people experience money day to day?
Yeah, as you said, like 100 face-to-face interviews. And I guess what hit me the most was how extremely personal finance is. And I don't even mean just your financial management should be different to mine. I really mean how close to our heart it can get in terms of if you feel uncomfortable with your financial situation, it can impact all different areas of your life. You probably sleep bad, or you feel anxiety. You don't want to open your bank account and want to see how it looks there. And yeah, that was the thing that hit me the most, because we all know, there's the saying, money can't buy happiness, but hands down, money can buy peace of mind. That's what I learned.
Mm-hmm. The finance fatigue generation. Why are so many of us, especially millennials and Gen Z, feeling paralyzed when it comes to money? Where are the tools failing?
I think that's a very complex, very layered question. Oversimplified, I would say it's information overload and support underload, which is not a real word, I guess. But so when it comes to information overload, what happened, I think, was, our past generations, what they had was very, very little access to information, which typically is a bad thing. But in that case, what it means is that in your mind, what you're feeling as, I cannot really do anything about it because I don't know it. And on the other hand, what they had was better access to support. So, your parents and grandparents probably had the same thing, where they would go to your banker or your financial advisor that they trust, and then they get this support. Whereas here in the UK, this is not the case. So what happened with the younger generation is that we have this beautiful access to information, but it's a mountain and terabyte of information just on the shoulders of people. And essentially what happened is like, here is this information, and now you figure out how it works, have fun, So they have too much information, too little support. And we think that they, with that, can figure everything out for themselves. And I think that's what is the underlying issue, why they feel overwhelmed and paralyzed oftentimes when it comes to money management.
The missing middle. You've said most apps either dumb things down or overwhelm the users. What does just right look like for modern finances?
That's a really neat question. And the answer is there's no right? Because we are so different. So there will always be people that want to speak to a human advisor. There will always be people that want to do everything themselves, the stock pickers, or, interested in the details, etc. For us, how we approach this just right aspect is that it's probably threefold. It's, first of all, it's fully automated. Second of all, it's fully transparent. And third of all, there is a control aspect. So the automation means that if you don't want to do it, as I said, we're talking about this, overwhelm, the feeling of overwhelmed and paralyzed. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. We guide you through everything, and then you do the onboarding with us. And from there on out, you essentially can sit back and relax, and you don't have to do anything anymore. And then the transparency, the second point, is that you will at all times always be able to see what's going on. And transparency is a main pillar of trust, right? If you don't understand what's happening, if it's intransparent, you don't want to do something, especially when it comes to finance. So just having at all times access to where is my money? What is it doing? How is it faring? What are you doing with it? That's a very crucial part of building up the trust and the confidence. And then the third part, the control, is that there's reassurance that at any point in time, you can take back the control. So if you think of us like an autopilot for money management, at any point in time, you can take back the steering wheel and start controlling it on your own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There are financial blind spots. You once asked, do you know how much money you really have? And most people didn't. Why is this such a common gap?
Yeah, I think that also kind of plays a bit into what I mentioned just now, the transparency, right? And if I ask you now, right now, do you know how much money you have on all of your different accounts and overall? Because really 99% of people don't. And I know it because I was that person. And the reason for it is that most people have several accounts at this point. So you probably have at least one current account. You maybe even also have a credit card. Then you have a savings account or then an account for your investing, be it either with a robo-advisor or in a trading platform or whatever. And then you also have your pension. So in reality, it's split over so many different ways and tools. It's very hard to access some of them, especially, for example, pension. I have really no idea how to, I need to consolidate it, et cetera. What is my password to onboard in to access the dashboard? So it's split in too many ways, and people kind of lost track of it, very understandably so, which is one of the reasons why our focus was to bring it back together. So when you open the account app, the first thing that you see is your dashboard, where all of your connected accounts are consolidated into one net asset view or total asset view, where you see how much you're having, where it's which split it is between savings, investing, etc. So just giving again this transparency of overview to people, I think that's very important.
I was wondering, so one of the common financial blind spots is basically where it's really hard to get to current information. For example, my German government pension.
Exactly.
I see. Money equals mental health. How does Count address the emotional weight of money, not just the math?
Yeah, that is probably a mission that is very close to my heart, and also binds back together with this learning that I had from the face-to-face interviews, right? Where I just said that people felt so bad and personally hurt by their financial issues. So when building Count, or in general, when we thought out to this journey to build this financial solution, caring for the mental part and the mental health was one of our most crucial aspects. And how we're doing it, again, is, of course, the transparency aspect that I just mentioned, which just helps bring peace of mind to our users. But also, I'm a huge fan of building wealth sustainably. And I hope most people are. And how that looks like for us is that we're building wealth by investing and saving. So if you start with your journey with us, we will always ask you, do you already have an emergency fund? And if so, how big is it? And if you don't, we always start investing and saving, just because it's so crucial to have this financial safety net. If you don't have this and something happened, you have to prematurely liquidate your assets in the investment part, which potentially hurts your returns. also in general, it just gives you peace of mind knowing, okay, if something happens, I have a couple of bucks on the side, So that was our first point where we said, okay, building up both of it and building it sustainably, that's our main path and our main mission.
Before we get into that, I was spontaneously wondering, how did you find the 100 people to interview?
So we started with our own network. And then from there, we kind of expanded. We asked, do you have someone that, we could potentially interview, et cetera, et cetera. And then we were also quite early already on social media. So we were on TikTok and Instagram, and people reached out to us there. And then we just built up the conversation. This is how we got to it. It's probably already more than 100 at this point, to be honest.
Guys, we will be back after a short ad break. Guys, welcome back. Let's talk a little bit more with Laura about Count. She was bootstrapping with her co-founder and also her husband. You built the MVP of Count alongside your husband. What was that experience like, building a company and a life together?
Yes. I love this question. I think you're only the second person to actually ask me this. And first of all, we've been together at this point for 15 years. So it's not we started a relationship and started Count. I think that would be quite a lot for any relationship. No, we've been together which is now nearly half my life. And my husband is probably the most brilliant, but also perfectionistic brain I know, which is extremely important or helpful for building a business, but can also be challenging, as you can imagine. But having someone on your side who challenges you ultimately just leads to a better product, I would say. And for us, I would say what we have that other founders probably don't have is that we trust each other 100%, no doubt about it. And then be very, very, very good at conflict resolution, and not just, talking about a conflict and then one of you is mad and then you pick it up later. No, it's a real conflict resolution because we've been together for such a long time. So at this point, you probably have that with your partner as well. So we're very good at that. And that is to say, it's been really nice. I've really enjoyed building Count together with him. But we do have a hard time differentiating between talking about business and talking about our personal life. So where others maybe sit together in the evening and watch Netflix, we probably have a look at our code, debug a user journey or something like this. So we sometimes have to be very forceful when it comes to drawing a line when we're like, okay, we have to stop talking about this now.
I see. Kind of know that feeling. What true personalization in fintech really means. A lot of apps claim personalization, but what does it really mean to build a financial tool that adapts to the individual?
Yeah. I don't like throwing shades on competitors, but I will say that sometimes I have the feeling what others mean when they say personal is that they have your first name in your email. And what it means in reality for me is that, everyone is extremely different. You and your life, how you got where you are, et cetera, is completely different to mine and any others. So naturally, your financial strategy should be different to mine. And then B, on top of that, you right now and me right now, we are different from the person, or our situation is going to be different from the person that we're going to be in 10, 20 years time. So again, our financial situation right now, our management right now should be different to this person in the future. And this is exactly what we're doing with Count. So first of all, it's a very detailed look at how is your situation right now. And then according to your income, your expense behavior, your financial goals, your time horizon, this is based on all of this information is how we construct your financial management. And then at least annually, we're checking up on you and seeing, okay, where are you standing? Is this the same or not? And then depending on how it's going, we're updating your strategy. Some of this is even automatic. Like if our algorithm notices that you don't have any income anymore, we're actually proactively reaching out to you and saying, okay, we noticed this. Should we kind of stop for now? You know, don't transact every month and don't take your budgeting, or what would you like to change? These kind of things. And if the closer we get to reaching your financial goal, automatically our portfolio rolls out of more risky investments and into safe haven investments in order to make sure that, you know, in case 1 year before you need the money, we will not be 100% in equity anymore, because if then there will be a financial crush, this will diminish your returns tremendously. So these are only a few of the personalization aspects that we have with Count.
Yes, as everybody knows from just the last month, just saying the word tariffs and all the things that happen after that, equities are a good long-term investment, but you shouldn't count on it for a specific time. You went from fund ratings to empathy-led product. How did your background in fund analysis and strategic finance shape how you build for real people today?
Yeah, I think I've been very fortunate when it comes to my skills that I was able to acquire through my past work experience. And it's basically it's a combination of two things. First of all, as you just said, it's this investment experience. When I was working at the biggest European rating agency, what we did is essentially talk to the biggest European asset managers. And, you know, I was in one-on-one conversations with the portfolio managers, challenging their strategies, their portfolio, their holding, their view on the markets, the team, how they interact with each other. So our job was essentially to trying to pick apart what they're doing. And then based on this, we did our rating. So this comes in extremely handy, of course, in my own portfolio construction right now, because all of this experience plus the network that I have and their experience are flowing into our algorithms. And then on the other hand, what I did was, my experience in private equity and venture capital is taking a look at the market and at the companies in the market and the businesses, figuring out whether they're good businesses, and then acquiring them and implementing or onboarding them into our existing portfolio. And based on this experience, I'm extremely good at figuring out what is going wrong, what are the skills to scale a business, what are best practices that we're following, and all of this I'm integrating in my own business. And so far, I've been very happy and satisfied with how it's going.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about women in fintech here, the bias and the breakthrough. What's been your experience leading a fintech company as a woman, and what needs to change in the ecosystem?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of these questions, to be honest. I do admit that there are structural challenges there are, and I wish for them to be alleviated for minorities and also, on a gender basis for sure. But I personally never identified myself with this problem, and I also don't like playing into this gender war narrative. Just like everyone else, I feel like I had some really shitty experiences. I had some really great experiences. Some of my mentors were just amazing. I had great female bosses, great male bosses, shitty female and shitty male bosses. So I wouldn't say that I had a lot of trouble. I just, as I said at the beginning, I'm a great fan of understanding the mechanisms of a system, and then you try to play the system.
Mm-hmm. Going a little bit more into your project, what's the long-term vision for Count? Could Count become the digital advisor we all trust and the banker of trust for like the next generation?
I mean, the short answer, yes. Probably a longer answer. Yes, absolutely. I would dare to say so. I dare to dream so. That's our mission. I have a fantastic team, all of us with the same mission behind it, that we truly want to help our users by building this experience. And I would hope that ultimately a product built by people that are actually interested in the welfare and the well-being of their users is going to win. And having these amazing people on my side and coming into a market with a huge gap where we're kind of leading at the front is going to be a great advantage.
For our audience, what's your biggest frustration with personal finance tools today? Too complex, too basic, or just plain confusing? Drop us your take in the comments, share your story on Threads, or send us a DM. We'll highlight you in a next show. What's one thing, Laura, you'd tell every 25-year-old about money? Imagine, for example, you could give one sentence of money advice to your younger self. What would it be?
I think it would be, it's not as frightening as it may look like at the beginning. I think that's what I would tell myself. What helped me was, for sure, of course, the knowledge, but also trying it out on a small scale, investing a bit, and then see how it works. And then if you're happy and gain more confidence, you can then bring it to a broader scale. So it's not the basics that work for most of us are not rocket science. And, if I can do it, everyone will be able to do it. And I hope we can help to bring it there with Counter.
What's something you wish you knew before founding a fintech startup? Founders do learn things the hard way. I personally did. What did you wish someone had warned you about before starting Count?
Well, yeah, I would actually really like to hear your experience and what you have to say to this as well. For me, it definitely was, and I'm so mad at myself for this as well, is not listening to my gut feeling. I don't know why I keep doing it. Honestly, I think I have a pretty good gut feeling. And luckily, I didn't listen to it like 3 or 4 times since I started Count. But every time, and that's not just, self-fulfilling prophecy. I have a team who are there to witness it. Every time I'm not listening to my gut feeling, it went wrong. I don't know what's wrong with me. Why do I keep doing this? So in the future, I will check myself 4 times at least before I go against my gut feeling again. And I mean, it's probably very psychological as well, right? Humans are kind of wired to pick up on the details, subconscious things that we don't even notice. So our gut feeling is only the result of these instincts. So I think most of us should listen to it. What was it for you?
You should get right from the start here in Germany, a tax advisor. It helps such a lot. Yeah, that laughter, you've been there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now after this amazing laughter, give us your boldest prediction for the future of money or fintech by 2030.
I hope it's going to be companies leaving the path of trying to sell you a service. So not stop focusing on just selling a product or a service, and then instead focusing on the user or the person. Because if, for example, it's very easy to know what I mean. So if you were looking at any homepage of a fintech company, typically you see the products or service right on the top. So you click on it and then it kind of unfolds the menu, right? And it shows you all of the different products. And then me as a consumer, I'm there just like, okay, which one do I need? I don't know. And so, rather than that, what I hope is going to happen, and especially, facilitated by AI, is that it's going to be like, okay, who are you? Tell me about you and what you're looking for. And then I give you advice on what actually works for you. So I hope that's the development that you're going to see.
Actually, you know what? I do believe an AI that can give financial advice would be very well equipped if it just would read out my cell phone.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. So, don't lose your cell phone. reminder to myself. Laura, with such a pleasure to have you here. Yeah. Thank you very much. Hope you come back when you do have a bigger funding round or something important to tell. Very happy to have you here again.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.